somebody had started recording already. Fine.
Yeah, I will.
I did not want to record the first part of it. Only the technical part I wanted to record. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So basically, what we are going to cover here is like a ASA firewall. We will be having an introduction of ASA firewalls. We'll do a basic configuration on ASA firewalls. I have scheduled a 5-day session. So this is the first day of this 5-day session. We'll go through each of it and we will do labs also in each of this actually. Okay, so that you guys become thorough, and also I would recommend you to build this lab and do it on your own also. Okay. The things that we are going to cover is basic configuration, routing on ASA firewall, NAT configuration on ASA firewall, VPN configuration on ASA firewall, high availability configuration. That is a failover configuration that we do in ASA firewall, and we'll go through the basics of context firewall as well. Okay, so what is a firewall? What is the basic difference between a firewall and a router, Alex?
Yeah, so basically the main difference is that a firewall works filtering traffic, allowing or denying traffic from one point to another. And the router actually um, makes the path for the traffic to go through. So that's basically different. The router enables the path and the firewall filters traffic.
That's correct. So basically, router, uh, as Alex mentioned, will have an image of the network, right? Okay, will have the best path to all the destinations. You can say that it will have the same image of the entire network topology, and it will forward the traffic, right? Whereas firewall does like exactly the opposite. It blocks the traffic actually. Okay, it is mainly used to block the traffic. Okay. So usually when you ask, right, uh, the pass through traffic, we have learned about the pass through traffic, right? The data plane traffic. Okay. So the data plane traffic on a router, basically it finds the path and forwards it in a fast manner, like in a very fast manner. Okay. So if we are using routing protocols like OSPF, you know that it will have image of the entire network topology, and it will just look at the topology table, and if it has multiple paths, it will put the best path in the routing table, right? And whenever a packet is coming for that destination, it will just forward it to that destination. So that is the function of a router. Whereas a firewall is just like a, a device that will be there at our edge, okay, and it will filter all the it will filter all the unwanted traffic, or to say it will just allow the traffic that we want. Okay, it will allow only the traffic that we want actually. Okay, so that is the basic difference between router and firewall. Nowadays, definitely there will be a question: can we make this function as router also? Okay, so there are. Have you heard about zone-based firewall? So we can configure zone-based firewall on a router actually, and we can configure each of the interface in a zone, and then configure the access list. But that also is not like a optimal way of doing filtering. Okay, the optimal way of doing filtering is to bring in a firewall, a dedicated firewall. Okay, now our is a tier 1 architecture. Okay, but if you go to if we have a like a uh, we have multiple server environment. If we have multiple server environment, right, we will have some companies have 3-tier environment. Some companies have 5-tier environment. So when we say 5-tier environment, it means 5 layer of security will be there. At each layer, there will be a firewall. Okay. And that will be filtering the access. So firewall is a very, very important concept that we have. It is a altogether in big environments, we have a separate team itself to manage the firewalls. Okay. So this part is clear, right? The difference between router and firewall.
Yes, it is clear, Santi.
Yeah. Next, we have something called we can just go through different types of network, network devices that Cisco provides. Okay. So have you heard about IPS, IDS? We have it on our environment, right? McAfee.
Yeah.
And we have alert logics, right? So it is one of the IDS that we are using. So what is the function of a IPS or a IDS actually?
So basically, ADS stands for Intrusion Detection System, and IPS stands for the Intrusion Prevention System. So basically what it does is to by filtering the traffic, determine which traffic is in could be danger for our company or for our network infrastructure, and the intrusion detection system will detect it, and the prevention system will make rules to prevent something from happening for that traffic. Actually,
Yeah. Basically, it will inspect the packets. It will do a deep inspection of the packet. Okay, and it will have a database. Okay, it will have a database of all like packet signatures, right? And then it will try whenever a suspicious packet or is detected, unwanted packet is detected, right? It has a database of well-known attacks. Okay, so whenever an attack is detected, it will, if it is a IDS, it will just alert us. If it is an IPS, it will try to prevent it. Okay, so it will block that traffic. Basically, it creates a baseline for the network. Okay. Or we can say there's a deep section of packet. Right. So basically, IPS and IDS also, it is one of the important parts, and there is not much that as a network engineer you have to do, but it is good that if you are learning IPS and IDS, like if you are learning firewall, you have to learn IPS and IDS. Okay. Because this is part of the network security, where actually there is already a existing database is there. It is just we have to do the configuration, we have to do the span configuration, right? Span port configuration, and all the packets are inspected. All the packets that are passed through traffic, like the data plane traffic, is inspected in detail. Okay, and if there is a abnormality detected, it will if it is IDS, it will generate an alert. Okay, if it is an IPS, it will try to filter that traffic. Okay, so this part is clear. I think most of you know it, right? Next one is like AMP. Okay, so you might have heard about AMP. That is again another tool that Cisco is providing. Okay, so it is basically advanced malware protection or prevention, you can say. I'm not sure. So this AMP is basically for our preventing the antivirus, okay, or malware. It will do again check on the files that are being transmitted through the network, and it will check for any malware that is there in the file. And if it finds the same, it will put it in, it will sandbox it, it will isolate it. Okay. So that is the function of AMP. Okay, we have that same in our Palo Alto firewall also. Okay, but AMP is a solution from Cisco. Okay. So this part is clear. Antivirus
clear.
prevention or advanced malware protection. That is also one of the tools that is there from Cisco actually. Now, if we go to the different models that we have, right? Like if we go to the slide, right? So initially we had PIX firewall. Okay, and PIX firewall, when Cisco started with firewall, right? They started with PIX firewall. It was there before I joined in 2002 also. PIX firewalls are already there. Okay, so the commands in PIX firewall were a little bit different. Okay, and after that, Cisco acquired a company. Okay, and they basically they implemented a device. It was mainly a VPN concentrator. Okay, so if you have if you have worked in Condiant, right, you might have seen that we had some VPN concentrators, specific devices only for VPN. Okay, and it was it was it can what do you say, if we have, let's say, thousands of users, we can connect to that VPN concentrator and work smoothly. So that was primarily, it was a GUI, and we could have worked we can do the configuration mostly in GUI, as well as the command line was very similar to the PIX. Okay. After that, they came with the ASA firewall. So ASA firewall was something like a PIX firewall with the VPN VPN features, all the VPN features that are there. Okay, so ASA firewall was a very still it is it is there. As of now, we are using ASA 9.x, right? And we our practicals also we will try to do in ASA 9.x. Okay, and uh, so ASA firewall is purely like a what we say. mm, The ASA firewall is just like a firewall, like our normal firewall that will check the packets L3 and L4 actually. Okay, it can block the when we say L3, basically using source IP address, destination IP address. When we say L4, it can block using the source port, destination port, right? So it was a basically uh, firewall that does packet filtering at L3 and L4. Okay, and then then they had separate tools for IPS and AMP. Okay, so we could integrate firewall with IPS module. There were modules that were available. Okay, so that we can just have a ASA firewall, and inside that ASA firewall we can have a IPS module. Okay, so that whenever the traffic is passing through the ASA firewall, that module will do the inspection for the any attacks as well. Okay, so that was integrated in the ASA firewall itself, but it was a separate module. Okay, AMP was a separate device itself. Okay, so now with the new generation UTM, right? Unified Threat Management. Okay, so you might have heard UTM many times. Okay, so almost all the new generation firewalls are UTM, Unified Threat Management. Okay, they provide visibility till layer 7. Okay, so they do all these functionalities, right? So similarly for a Cisco, the current one is firepower. You might have a FTD, right? So FTD is the firepower threat defense actually. Okay, so FTD, if part of our earlier company Condiant, we had FTD in our edge, East Windsor and uh, Sandy data centers actually. So FTD is a firepower threat defense. It is basically, it will have features of a firewall IDS, IPS, AMP. Okay, so it is a, it is a consolidated tool, like it is a new generation UTM, okay, which will act as a firewall. Plus it will be act as IPS plus AMP. Okay, so it can act as all three actually. The commands are little bit different from the Cisco ASA firewall. Okay, mostly it is a GUI tool. It is also like once you start using it, it is very easy. But like it is a very sophisticated firewall actually. Okay, just like our Palo Alto or Checkpoint firewall. Okay, so you know what is FTD? FTD is basically the UTM tool, UTM device from Cisco. Okay, is this part clear?
Yes.
Understood.
Apart from that, you might have here if you're going into like a secure Cisco security, right? There are other terms that you might hear like FMC, okay, Power Management Console. So this is basically like we have in Palo Alto, we have a Panorama, right? So in Panorama, we basically manage everything using all the firewalls with a single Panorama, right? All the policies we can push using Panorama. Same thing for if we have multiple FTDs that are implemented all over the site, we can manage it using FMC. Okay. And we can push the policies. We can do the upgrades. Okay. So everything can be managed from a single console. That is where we use FMC. Okay. Apart from that, Cisco has other tools like ESA, WSA. Okay. So, do you know what is ESA and WSA? Have you heard about content filtering?
Yes.
So this is basically Cisco's way of doing content filtering. Okay. So with WSA, it is web security appliance basically. So it will do web filtering. Okay, like we can do category wise filtering, like we can say social media to block social media. So they will Cisco has a database of all the URL categories. Okay, so we can just say high risk category. So block high risk category. So it will block all the high risk category. Like that, it is a big database that we can use and do a content filtering. Okay, so earlier, as I might have told you multiple times, so I was working in a company where it was a company of software engineers. Okay, so we were using ISA, Cisco, like a Microsoft ISA we were using. Okay, so we had blocked many websites actually. Okay, so for example, we had blocked google.com or yahoo.com. We have blocked the yahoo.com website. Okay, now it is basically earlier we had option to block only using URLs. So what we will do is we will only provide the specific URLs that they require, and rest we will block it. Okay, so in that case, like we have blocked the yahoo.com. Okay, but some users are still able to access yahoo.com. How they are accessing is they like if we have permitted say abc.com, what they will do is they will in their file, okay, in their host file, they will just go and give the IP address of yahoo.com, okay, to abc.com. Okay, and then they will give a abc.com, what will be coming, the yahoo.com page will be coming, right. So earlier we had some drawbacks in web filtering. Okay, so with content filtering, it is totally like resolved actually. So in content filtering, suppose we say job website, don't allow like job website, or don't allow healthcare website. So what happens? Suppose you are accessing a different website, and inside that you get a advertisement for a job, or you get an advertisement for a healthcare. Okay, it will be blocked. Okay, so that is what is content filtering. So it will check the content of the web and it will filter that. And how it does is it all the web security appliances have a big database. Okay, the first one that was there is WebSense. You might have heard WebSense actually. So we have implemented WebSense. It is also a very good tool, web like a web security appliance that we can use with Microsoft ISA actually. So now Cisco has a dedicated appliance for web security. Okay, that is called WSA. And then we have ESA. ESA is for emails. So email security in the sense, people will like definitely you are getting very less spam. Okay, you all agree, right? Are you getting any spam mails?
Not really.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, there is a email security appliance that has been implemented. Okay, so that what it does is it filters the spam. All the spam mails it will identify and it will take it out. So you are not getting any of those mails actually. Okay, without that, if you are just you open a mail, you will get hundreds of mail. Okay, suppose you just send a mail from this to a say any mail, open mail ID, say your email ID, you will get hundreds of mail back. Like somewhere they will get your email ID and they will send some spam mails. Okay, and suspicious mails from there. Like I can tell you, there was a scenario in one of our companies where attack was reported, I think, only 3 years back. And it was a well-protected company. Like we can say it has a five-tier architecture actually. But then also inside hack was happened in that company. How it happened is the user opened an email that had a link to the like for the like hacker to control the network and control his machine, and from there he started attacking actually. But it was prevented fast, but then also there was a breach that happened, right? So uh, so these type of big hacks happen from these small things actually. Okay, they will try to like right, first step of hacking is information gather. Okay, so reconnaissance we say. So these type of attacks can be prevented using WSA, like WSA and ESA basically. Okay, for email security and web security. Apart from that, Cisco has for identity management. Okay, what is the tool that we use for identity management? Cisco Identity Management. We already have it in our network also. Which is that tool? For identity, like identity management, did you like AAA in our term, in networking term? What is the tool that we use for AAA? Authentication, authorization, accounting.
Takas.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Takas.
TechX. Yeah, but the tool that the application is Cisco ICE.
Yeah, exactly.
So Cisco ICE. Before Cisco ICE, like Cisco is a newer tool actually. Okay, it is a very vibrant tool actually. It is one of the, we can say it is a it has the majority holder in the identity management. Okay, so if you see the identity management, it is a very big market. Okay, because almost all the companies need identity management in their network. When we say like not I'm not talking about the Active Directory stuff. Okay, I'm talking about the network layer at authentication, authorization, and accounting. Okay, that is something that is required in each network. Like if you go to your network and just plug your computer, like just take a laptop, your personal laptop, and connect to a office port. Okay, you will not get an IP address. Okay, you might get an IP address of a different IP range, not a production IP range. Okay, suppose in an environment you move from third floor to fifth floor, but you are part of the same business. wherever you connect the laptop, you will get the same IP address. Okay, so that those type of network topology or those type of network design can be implemented only with Cisco ISE. Okay, Cisco ISE is widely used. Okay, any big company you take, they will be having identity management service in their network, and mostly it is Cisco ISE. Okay, before Cisco ISE, we had ACS. ACS was mainly used for device administration. Okay, Cisco ISE is mainly used for Radius. Okay. Radius is for network AAA, like end user AAA. Okay, so end user, like whenever a user is connecting to a VPN or whenever a user is connecting to a LAN, okay, or a wireless. Okay, so we have to authenticate him. We have to, as per his authentication, we have to authorize him. Okay, we can change the VLAN. We can implement access list, downloadable access list. Okay, using Cisco ISE. So that can be done using Radius actually. Radius 802.1x actually. Okay, so that are all part of Radius. And can do device administration also. Okay, so you understood like till this part actually, at least the basic of each of these tool. What is this tool and why is this tool used actually? What is the function of each of these tools? Is this part clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So we'll go to the slide again. So till this part is clear. Okay. So like ASA can do L2 to L4 stateful filtering actually. It can do NAT, it can do what we say carrier grade NAT. It is a very scalable solution. Still we are using ASA, right? Then it is ACLs. Basically the filtering is implemented with ACL. Routing can be implemented. Application inspection, I told you, right? We can implement a module actually. So with that firepower module actually, threat centric inspection can happen. URL ABC, like the fire FTD I mentioned just now. So everything is included in FTD actually. And FTD has ASA as well as firepower included. Okay. So the current firewall that ASA is mostly propagating is firepower threat defense actually. Okay. So that has the features of both ASA and firepower. Hopefully this part is clear. ASA, firepower, FTD. These three what we say Cisco devices are clear to you. What is the difference between each of these?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ASA is the L2 to L3, L4 firewall, stateful firewall. Firepower is the IPS that we mentioned, right? And FTD is basically, it is a combination both ASA and firepower. It has all the functionality of ASA and firepower actually. Okay. And then we have FMC. FMC is for managing multiple FTDs in the network through a single management console. So we'll go back to ASA actually. So ASA, as we discussed, as we had done on the Palo Alto firewall, any firewall that we learned, right? The first we have to learn the different interface types. Okay. Then we will have to learn our different deployment modules and packet flow. So in ASA firewall, we can say that so ASA firewall, like you tell me, like interface basically we can directly give the IP address on the interface, right? On ASA firewall, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So it is an L3 interface on the ASA firewall. You agree?
Yep.
Yeah, what all configurations we do in the ASA like interface on ASA?
We can basically, as you said, put the IP address to the interface. We can specify mask. We can route those interfaces and filter the traffic through those interfaces as well.
Yeah, we cannot do anything. Okay, before we do these two things. First is we have to give it a name. Okay, name to the interface. Okay, so in ASA firewall, basically there are three types of we can configure it as with any name. Actually, we can say like MPLS, we can say XBSNet, we can say what we say the interface. You can give a name to the interface, say production. Okay, we can name the interface as we want actually, but by default, like they have outside, inside interfaces, right? So these are the two names that they have. Okay, next one is we have to give a security level. Okay, so this is something that is specific to ASA firewall interfaces. If you are taking a new firewall, ASA firewall, you have to give a name. Then what do you have to give? You have to give a security level. Okay, so security level basically higher is more safe, like it trusted, and lower is untrusted. Okay, so when we say it is like basically 0 to 100, where 100 is
So what's the question? Well, 100 might be untrusted.
100 is trusted actually. Okay, so 100, 1 second, I'm not able to type it. Name we can give outside, right? Or any name that we want actually, we can give it. Next one is we have to give security level. Security level can be from 0 to 100. Okay, where 0 is untrusted and 100 is trusted. So we have to always remember this one. Okay, so these two are the main important configuration that we have to do before we do the IP configuration. Okay, so tell me what are the two configuration we have to do? We have to name the interface and we have to give
the security level.
Security level. Okay, so higher is safe, higher is safer, or we can say higher is trusted, and lower security level is untrusted. Okay, it can be any number between 0 to 100, 0 to 100. Okay, so by default, if you give a like name as outside, okay, the firewall itself will give it as a security level of 0. Okay, by default, if you give it as inside, it will give it as security level as 100. But if you give any other, just you give any other name, say prod, or any other name you like, or if we give like any name that we want, right? So if we give a name as prod in, okay, so if we give an interface name like this, by default, the security level will be 0. Okay, whereas if you give it as outside, the security level will be 0. If you give it as inside, the security level will be 100. This part is clear?
This is clear.
Yes, Santosh.
Okay. So we will we'll have to first of all configure interface name. Then we have to configure security level. Okay, security level is what security level signifies is it signifies the security, like the security level of that interface, like whether it is a secure network. Each interface is just like a network, right? So is it a secure network or is it an unsecure network that is connected to that interface? Okay, So if it is an unsecure network, it is untrusted, like internet is connected. So internet is trusted or untrusted?
Trusted.
Sorry,
Trusted.
trusted?
Untrusted.
Untrusted, yeah. So it is untrusted, right? So internet is always untrusted actually. Okay. So whenever we are connecting internet to an interface, it will be configured as untrusted. So your that security level will be always 0. Okay. Then if we have DMZ, demilitarized zone, like where we have servers which will be accessed from internet. Okay, also it might be accessed from inside DMZ, right? So in that case, we can configure it as security level anything between 100 and 50, like 100 and 0, like a 0 to 100, we can configure it as 50 or 75. Okay, it's up to us side. Okay. So what this security level means is, okay, from the security point of view, from the ASA security point of view, from higher security level. Okay, this we have to learn by heart. Okay, level to lower security level. Traffic is allowed. Okay, so I can show you in terms of a firewall actually. So you suppose this is a firewall. Okay, and we have okay. So this is a 2-arm firewall. Okay, and this is mainnet. This is inside. Okay. So what will be the security level on this interface? Tell me.
100.
0. Okay. And the security level of this interface will be 100, right? So what this means is from higher security level to the lower security level, traffic is allowed. So whenever traffic is generated from inside to internet, okay, from a higher security level to a lower security level, it is allowed. Okay. This part is clear?
Yeah, it is clear.
Lower security level to higher security level. Not allowed. Okay. So tell me which traffic will be blocked basically? Any traffic that is coming from internet to the firewall, to the inside, sorry, to the inside network will be blocked. Right? So these are the main two rules actually for security level. You have to learn about security level. You have to understand from the higher security level to the lower security level, traffic will be allowed. You don't have to give any access list. Without that also the traffic will be allowed. Okay. From lower lower security level to higher security level, the traffic will be blocked. From untrusted to trusted, traffic will be blocked. Okay. This two part is clear.
Yes, it's clear.
Yes.
And and third one is suppose we have two interface with the same security level. Okay, by default it is denied, blocked. Okay, so if it is on the same security level, it will be blocked. If this three part is clear, we have to explicitly allow it. If suppose we have configured two inside interfaces, from one inside interface, if traffic is going to the other interface, the traffic will be blocked. Okay, so before we go for this rule, I think you already understand what we mean by pass-through traffic and the traffic, like the difference between pass-through traffic and the traffic towards the device. What is pass-through traffic? Tell me. Sorry, your voice is very feeble.
Pass through is the traffic will only pass the device.
Correct. The user traffic or data plane traffic. We had learned about data plane traffic, right? It is passing through this traffic. It is passing through this device. It is like a coming from an interface going to the other interface. Okay. It is the destination is not the firewall. It is basically some device that is behind the firewall. It is that is what we call as pass through traffic. Whereas the traffic destined to the device itself. What is that traffic called? The traffic that is destined to this network device. What is that traffic called? SSH, Telnet, SNMP. What is the traffic called?
You mean the management traffic?
Correct. The management or the control plane traffic. Basically, if there is a traffic that is destined to the network device, it can be either a management plane or it can be a control plane traffic, right? But data plane traffic is the pass-through traffic. And this what we are discussing is for the pass-through traffic. There are three rules for pass-through traffic. One is from the higher security level to the lower security level, traffic will be allowed. From lower security level to higher security level, traffic will not be allowed, and same security level traffic will be blocked. Okay, by default, we can allow it with some commands, but by default it is blocked. Okay, so these three rules are clear, and this is applicable for the data plane traffic. Okay, don't think that it is applicable for the SSH traffic that we are initiating to the network device, to the firewall. This part is clear?
Yes.
Yes, it is clear.
Next one is related to like the deployment mode. So there are two deployment modes mainly. One is routed mode and transparent mode. Routed mode, as the name defines itself, actually, it is the L3 mode. So mostly we by default itself, it is in the routed mode actually. So we can directly configure one like as I showed you in the this particular design actually. This is a routed mode. So one interfaces will be having a IP public IP address. One will be having inside IP address, right? So this is these are L3 interfaces. L3 interfaces in the sense we are configuring L3 IP addresses as IP addresses on the interface, right? So this is called a routed mode. Okay. Then we have transparent mode. Transparent mode is L2. Like we just add it in this here actually. We just add it between two switches or between two devices. We just add it for monitoring. Like it is just an L2 firewall actually. Okay. The L2 firewall also does filtering, but it has a lot of like a lot of features are not there. Okay, like VPN, we cannot configure VPN on L2 firewall, right? So many features are not available in L2 transparent mode. So L2 firewall is in ASA, we call it as transparent mode. Okay, so we have learned about the same in Palo Alto firewall also, right? When we learned about Palo Alto firewall deployment modes.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Next one is packet flow actually. So we can just go through packet flow. I think I'm going a little bit slow because I wanted to do a practical also today. So if we see here, this is the packet flow. Packet flow is from like once the packet is received. Okay, this packet flow is for a ASA firewall. Okay, when a packet is received on a ASA firewall interface, like once it is received on the say outside interface or inside interface, once the packet is received, the first thing it will check is the connection table. You all know what is a connection table, right? We had already learned what is a stateful firewall. Right? You know what is a connection table.
Yes.
So it will check for an existing connection that is there. If there is an existing connection, it will not check for the ACL or XLATE. It will directly go to the inspection, as I told you, right? Inspection security. And after that, it will come to the NAT check, like a natting. Actually, it will do the natting and then it will go to the IPS module. And after that only it will go to the egress interface, whichever it will check for egress interface and do the L3 route. Okay, so this is how what we say packet flow is happening. So packet will reach the ingress interface. Once the traffic is packet has traffic has reached the ingress interface, right? The buffer, it will come into the buffer actually, and the input it will just check whether there is an existing connection is there in the connection table. If there is an existing connection, it will not check for ACL or match the XLATE. It will just directly go to the next part, that is we had already mentioned, right? There are different types of modules that are there, so it will directly go to that module. Actually, it will do an inspection check. If it goes through, if that device has a inspect like IPS or a CSC module. If it does not, like most of our ASA firewall, do they have CSC and IPS module? Correct. We in our case, these two things are not happening. It will directly go to the NAT header, and after that it will go to the egress interface, right? And it will from the egress interface, it will go to the next hop, wherever the next hop is, and transmit like a L2, L3, right? You know, right? Was left transfer. It will happen. Okay. This part is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first of all, it will come to the egress interface. From there, it will go to the L3 route, like whichever is the L3 next hop, right? It will try to find that next hop, and it will go to the ARP table and find the MAC address, right? If it has the MAC address, then it will transmit that packet. So sometime if you are changing the next hop device, sometimes the packet fails. You might have seen that sometimes the packet fails because the L3 hop is L3 route is there, but it is pointing to some L2 different MAC address. Okay, that is the reason it is failing. So we have to clear the ARP table. Sometimes when we are replacing the devices, right, a switch or something, right? So at that time we have to replace. We have to just clear the ARP for the that IP address which is residing on that switch. So this part is clear. The packet flow in a ASA firewall.
Yes, it's clear.
Yes.
This is very important. Okay, so basically whenever you're it is little bit different from a Palo Alto firewall. Okay, it is if whenever you're learning a new firewall, right? As I already told you, you have to learn the deployment mode, the different interfaces that are there, interface configuration, and packet flow. Okay, so the packet flow in the ASA firewall is little bit different. So whenever you're mainly the thing that we have to understand is the NAT actually. So we'll when we are taking NAT in detail, we can just go through it. But whenever we are implementing ACLs in ASA, we have to give the internal IP addresses. Okay, rather than the public NAT IP address. Because why is that? Because the NAT is happening after the ACL. This part is clear.
It's clear.
Yeah, but Palo Alto is different. So like from firewall to firewall, it will be different. For in FTD itself, it is different. FTD also we are giving public IP address. Okay. So in each of the security device, the packet flow might be a little bit different. This is the packet flow for ASA firewall. Sometimes we call this connection, like once the existing connection is there, it will directly go to the NAT and then it will route to the egress interface, right? So that connection is called fast connection. So what is fast connection? Fast connection is basically once the packet hits the ingress interface, and if there is a connection already there in the connection table, it will directly go to the, it will skip the ACL and check, and it will directly go to the NATing part and just route the packet to the external interface, exit interface. Okay, so that is called fast connection. So this part is clear. the ASA packet flow is clear. Any doubt in the ASA packet flow? This any step you have any doubt?
Basically, no.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do the basic configuration. Okay. I wanted to do it from the scratch actually. So this is the lab that I have already asked you to implement multiple times. I've asked you to either like EVNG or PNet, right? Anything that you want to implement, you can implement. Okay. You can name it as ASA. So this part is clear. This is the inside, this is the inside, this is the outside. Okay.
Yeah, understood.
Power on the devices. First of all, we will configure the router side. Okay. First of all, we'll configure the router on the outside interface. Okay, we can just do it. Host name. We can view. So for enabling AAA, what we have to give first?
New AAA.
AAA new model. Okay. AAA. Right. This part is clear. Privilege 15. Why we are giving privilege 15? It will have full access. Okay.
Yes, correct.
And then we are just giving AAA authentication. Authentication. SSH. Okay, no. Okay. This part is clear. We always do it, right? Just for authentication part. Is this part clear?
Yes.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Transport. We can give it as inlet. Okay. So till this part, everything is clear. So we have what we have done. We have given a host name. We have we given the IP address yet? No. Sure and int E0/0. We have to give the IP address int E0/0. We'll give IP address 100.100.100.2. Okay. One will be the IP address of the firewall. Okay. This part is clear. Do we need to give a name here? Do we need to give a security level in router?
No, not yet. That's a route.
We'll do a no shut because it is shut actually by default. It will be shut. So we'll do a no shut. Okay. Then what we have to do? We have to do a IP route 0.0.0.0.0 to 100.100.100.1 default gate. Right.
Correct.
So we have given the interface IP address. We have given host name. We have enabled telnet and SSH for enabling telnet, it is fine. For enabling SSH, we have to do one more command, crypto key generate SSH. So for doing this, we have to give that IP domain. You remember I had given an IP domain name, like IP domain name, right? So if we are giving, if we are generating this SSH key, actually we have to give a domain name. Okay.
Others.
So now SSH is enabled. We'll go to the inside actually. So inside is 192 and ETH 0. Network, right? So we will not give the domain name this time, just to show you what is happening. So if I do a crypto key, please define a domain name, right? And in th/0. What is the IP address that we have mentioned here? 92.168.1.2. 25.0. Right. Shit. Okay. What other things we have to configure? We have to configure
Yes.
the name, scope. Okay. And play. New model. Okay. Application. Five zero. It is this code. We have not given any enable pass. So this part is clear. Till this, everything is clear.
Yes.
Yes, it is, Santosh.
So now we will configure the ASA part actually. So ASA has two interface, gigabit 0/0 and 0/1. Okay. We'll give it an enable password. Okay. Scope. Okay. So we have given the password. Please do remember it. It is Cisco. Okay. And first thing that we are going to do is, so here also it is the same thing. Okay. So this is the privilege mode that we are there as of now. Okay. And after that, when we do a configuration mode, we have to do a conf-t. So we will be there in the configuration mode, right? And here we can, first thing we will do is give a host name. Host name, say lab. Okay. Next one, what we have to give? We have to give a interface. Interface gigabit 0/0 is. What is interface gigabit 0/0?
The one that goes to the network.
Yeah. So first, what we have to give? Okay. The command to give name is name if outside. So we'll see what is happening here. By default, it is giving a security level of 0 when you give it outside, right? So we don't
Yeah.
have to give a security level, but then also we just for learning purpose, we'll give security level 0. Okay, and then we have to give the IP address. IP address is 100.100.100.1. Yes. If we give like that, it will take the default subnet mask. We have to give the subnet mask here. Okay. This part is done. We have to do one more shot. Interface gigabit 0/1. Okay, name it. This is inside. So what is the default configuration? Default, what we say, default setting for inside.
100.
Default security level for inside.
100.
It's
100, right? Correct. So it is almost given, but for security, for learning purpose, we'll give it as security level 100. Okay, so this is trusted. We can give a description also. What's trusted network, right? And then we have to give the IP address. IP address 192.168.1.1. Okay. Motion. So now what I'm trying to do is I will just give a name if and just change the name to say some other name, say prod. Okay. Security level will be like when we are doing the changes, it will be the once it is almost done, it is the same. Okay. We can take any other interface. So and can take, say, for example, interface gigabit 0/2. Okay, and here we will give name it as when I give prod 2, what is the default? What is the default security level?
0. Untrusted.
0.
Yeah. So only if you are giving like there are two defined methods, like one is outside, it will be 0, inside will be 100. But apart from that, if you give any other name, right, it will by default it will become 0. Okay, this part is understood.
yeah, clear.
Yeah, and these interfaces are shut actually as of now. I had done a no shut to enable this interface. So these two interfaces are up. For that, I just wanted to check the IP address. What is the, like, if you want to check the interface IP address, how will we check? Like show IP int. What is the command to check in a switch?
The switch show the interface brief.
Yeah. So if we do like this, right, lot of interfaces will be there. So we can just do as exclude unassigned. Okay, exclude unassigned. So it will all the other ports that do not have IP address, it will exclude it. It will only show us the IP like interface which has IP address. Okay, so we will give exclude unassigned. Okay. And then
Santosh,
here
You forgot.
we'll try to ping 192.168.1. Okay, 1.2 is pinging. We'll try to ping 100.100.100. It is also pinging. So the connectivity is up. Okay. Now from inside to outside, we'll try to do a telnet. 100.100.
Santosh, I think you forgot to do the route, the inside router.
Correct.
The default one.
0.0.0. 100.100. Gateway is unreachable.
should be the inside IP of the.
You will think that I have done it in purpose actually. First of all, we will try to remove this route. Okay. To 168 1.1. See. Yeah, but you understood, right? Basically, we are able to do a SS telnet as well as from the network point of view, it is working fine.
Exactly.
Okay. So the connectivity is happening from the inside to the outside. Okay. Second, let me try to log in here. I think the password we had given. You remember the password correctly? Yes, I think I give the password Cisco only.
Maybe trying apps. I don't know.
So what has happened here is I got the point. Okay. Cisco space. What happened is when I gave the password, right, I had given a space there. Okay.
Oh, right.
That is the reason it has taken a space actually. You got the point, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Let's clear it. If you give a space there, it will be there in the password also. So we have to be very careful while we are giving space in the password. Okay, so from inside to outside, the telnet is happening fine. Will the telnet happen from outside to inside, from the untrusted to the trusted network?
It shouldn't happen
Why? Tell me the reason.
because it goes from a higher level, from a lower level to a higher level of security.
Correct. So if you see here, it is trying to do a telnet, but it is not happening. Okay, but here the thing is we have given the routes correctly. Okay, here there is no issue in the routing part. The default route is configured. Traffic is reaching here. From here, it is going. It is filtering the traffic here. Okay, so suppose we want to allow the traffic. Okay, what we have to do? We have to do conf t. Okay, either we first of all we create an access list, right? Outside access in, right? Extended permit. We can either give telnet like a permit TCP and give telnet only, but as this is a lab, I'm just giving permit. Okay, permit IP in any. You're getting me, right? Access list we will take separately, a class for access list also. But are you able to understand this correct access list? Okay.
Yeah.
As of now, I am allowing all the access. Okay, if I have another way of doing it, I can allow access only to port 23. So we can say any, or we can give in more specific way. We don't give any, right? So we can give 100.100 like a host 100.100.100.2. Okay, and to host 192.168.1.2, right? port is equal to 23, right? The telnet port is 23, right? So we are giving a access, we have created an access list, right? And we have to just bind it, that access list to the outside interface, right?
Correct.
Access. Okay. We have to specify the outside access in. We have to tell in which direction. It is inbound direction. From outside, it is inbound direction. Okay. Which interface? What is the interface name that we had given?
outside.
It is not case sensitive. Just you, if you give out and it will fill it out. But okay. Now we have given a tell. We can just try now. Fish. Telnet is happening fine. So guys, you got it till this point. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, how we give a host name, we give the domain name, we like we enable the SSH. We have understood we how to do an interface configuration on a firewall. Pass through traffic we have gone through, right? How to like the what is this traffic? What is the access list that we have implemented? Like the traffic that is going from outside to inside. Is that a traffic to the firewall or is that a pass through traffic?
That's a pass-through traffic.
Right? So it is a pass through. So that requires an access list. Okay. Now we can check the traffic to the firewall. Suppose we want to enable access to the firewall. Okay, there are three ways of enabling access to an ASA firewall. One is telnet, second is SSH, third is HTTP. Okay, and HTTP is required like if you want to do a like web management, right? Management through the web interface, then we require HTTP access. Okay, so we will just go to show and like suppose we want to enable telnet. So how will we enable telnet? So we have to conf t, okay, telnet. Okay, we have to give say 10 dot what is the IP address? 100.100.100.2. Okay, and subnet mask 255, 255, 255, 255. Okay, specific one and interface. Which is the interface from which it is coming? It is coming from outside interface. This part is clear.
Yes, it is clear.
Yes,
Okay.
Santosh.
And then we have to pass. Okay, so we have to give a password actually. Like for telnet, right? We have to give a password. So we give Cisco 123. Okay, either there are like we can use this password, or we can create a like a username password, and we can give AAA authentication like that. We can give, or we can just give a password here. Okay. So now if we try to do a telnet. Telnet to what was that IP address? Dot 100.100.1. One second. Huh? One second, guys. Hello.
Yes, but sure.
Sorry, guys. Okay. This is correct actually. We will just we'll give the timeout also. Telnet timeout. Okay. Try once more. One more thing. So outside interface telnet is on. We can check it out in the next class. We'll just try the SSH part also. Shore and SSH. Okay. So same thing for SSH also. What we have to do? SSH. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Santosh.
Yeah. Okay. 255, 255, 255. Okay. Outside. SSH. 100.100.100. Okay, so SSH this is done, and then we have to give a username. Username Cisco. Device to device, this one is changed. Password Cisco, and then we give privilege. Okay. So this is done. Authentication. Enable. Direct SSH. SSH. And so open. So it is case sensitive. We have to give capital local. So this part is done. Okay. We can do the same thing for SSH telnet also, just to check if it resolves the issue for telnet. Okay. So now we have to generate the key. So same thing. When before generating the key, what we have to give actually? There are two things that we have to give. Host name and one more thing that we had given earlier also on the routers. What was that?
The domain.
Domain. Domain. So now we have to just to generate RSA. 1024 is weak key actually. We have to give always, we have to give what in production we have to give it as 2048. Okay. Just for testing purpose, we are giving it 1024. Okay. This is done. Just check it out, the configuration. show run. We just want to check the configuration for SSH. So we just have to give show run SSH. Okay. Now we'll try to do an SSH. That is basically that algorithm is not matching. Okay, but SSH is happening, but the algorithm is not matching. 1 second, let me check if it is there. We have a way to give algorithm. So if you have like tried to do SSH from our jump box also, right? The same issue happens there also. Sometimes the hashing algorithm or the encryption algorithm will not match.
Santosh, are you not missing the IP after the SSH?
Yeah, that IP address we are typing, but it is showing as it is showing as 1 second. See, if you are seeing here, right? No matching MAC found. So the client is having MAC SHA-1, SHA-1 like that actually. Okay, that is not matching. So let me check this one. Yes, yes. You got the point, right? So that is not matching. The hashing algorithm is not matching. Let's check with H. M. This same issue will happen with when you're doing for when you're doing from the jump box, right? I believe Alisa, when we are doing from the jump box today SSH, we had the same issue, right?
Yes.
Because these are not like latest OS actually. So we can just, let me try and show quick. Yeah, but hashing algorithm is not matching. But anyway, the SSH is happening. Okay. Let me try the telnet once. Telnet is happening now. Telnet is still not happening. Okay, so we'll continue from this actually tomorrow. Okay, I think we have already taken half an hour more, but our aim basically is to continue with this thing actually. Okay, and we have to what all things we have to cover. We have to cover, as of now we have covered pass through traffic. Tomorrow we will check on traffic to the firewall. Okay, both telnet and as like a backup. Okay, as well as we will go for next one. Next is routing on a ASA firewall. Okay, so that we'll try to do it tomorrow because I did not want to schedule it like 1 week after that 1 week, right? So what will happen? We'll miss that topic totally, and I'm not like you might not be able to attend it. So if you guys attend this 5 session continuous session, we will try to cover routing, NAT, VPN in one of like each of one of these sessions, right? And we'll try to as much as we can in this 5 sessions. We will try to complete it. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, boss.
All right. And so, but I would request you to do the lab. Okay. Please do the lab, continuous lab actually. At least try to set up the lab, and it is a very easy to set up the lab actually. Okay. Just try to set up the lab and do the configuration. Once you start the doing the configuration, see, now you are able to see that nitty-gritty of it, right? You're not able to, so you will be able to do the troubleshooting. Once you do the troubleshooting in the lab, then you will come to know, yeah, this is what this was missing actually. Okay, now we know that it is related to the client is having these hashing algorithms. Okay, but serve like the basically the router is having these hashing algorithms. How can we match these hash algorithms with the ASA? Right. So this is something that we like. Not only this, there will be a lot of queries that will be coming. Something we will make mistake. We'll have to correct it. Right. Those things we'll be able to do it only when we are doing practicals. If you are just listening to me, basically you're and coming to the next class, you will. I'm not sure how many days you will be able to remember it. Right. But if you do practicals, you will remember it for a long time. So I would request you earnestly, okay, please do your practicals, okay, and if you have any doubts in setting up the lab, please do inform. I can help you in that. Okay, plus, yeah, please do the lab actually, okay, rather than just listening to this because as I mentioned earlier, we had one of the devices which was not in TechX. It like but it was not added in TechX for almost 3 weeks. But you had agreed to add it. Like, so I just want you to be confident whenever you are given a work, you should be able to do it confidently on ASA firewall. Okay. All right. So till now, any doubts till now, actually? Anything that you have doubts till now on the basic configurations? Tomorrow we'll start with routing.
That's from me, boss.
Okay. So Alex, you will do the lab? Alex, you will do the lab?
I was on mute. Yeah, I will do the lab today.
Jose, you will do the lab?
Yes, sir.
Sheila, what about you?
Yes, I will do it.
Okay. Alisa, will you do the lab for ASA?
Yeah, I'll try to do it in Peanut since the Peanut um is not working for me. I mean, it's not running when I configure it. But
Yeah.
can this run in um Packet Tracer? Let's go Packet Tracer.
Yeah,
Because I
packet tracer
tried.
also, it like a packet tracer I have not worked much because see, if you are learning for like what I'm teaching you is CCNP level actually. It is also a part of CCIE. Okay. So whatever we are learning here, right, it is part of the CCNP. It is not CCNA level. Okay. So what we are learning here, routing as well as the basic configuration that we are learning, right? These are all part of CCNP security. So whenever we are doing that type of lab, I would like a packet tracer can do basic labs, but I would like EVNG is more like nowadays more people use is EVNG, and the GNS3 is also one of the tools that we most of the people are using. But whichever is comfortable to you, okay. But please do the lab. Okay, whichever you are able, because lot of tutorials are there in the YouTube. I have also helped you many times. Okay, so you can set up EVNG, you can set up GNS3, you can set up uh, PNet lab. Okay, but please do the lab. Okay, so meet you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll try to do the routing part tomorrow if there is no set.
Boss, this is not related to the topic, but the one that I told you this morning, I've created I've created a new sheet in the Zabbix monitoring for those devices that has errors and added. I think Jose is also working on it and almost done. But some of the devices are, I mean, for overall are having some errors. Um yeah, it's in the Zabbix monitoring.
Which is the issue? Which is the device that is having error? Like I tried to access these devices, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Can you
most
give me
of
one IP
it,
address?
sure. One moment.
Stop the recording.
10